And cue audio, video on. Boom, get them claps. Beautiful. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Two Coaches Podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about all things resistance training and why you should be doing it. We got a lot to talk about. Let's jump right into it.
Coaches.
Two coaches. You totally changed it up. You got to tell me if you're going to change it up.
That's from the first episode.
I was ready for the bumper down.
Yeah, that was the first episode.
Elizabeth was talking about that, and she's like, I do like the badonka donk down. What's going on, man?
Not a lot of enchilada.
So
I do think, although I can, when I look at the camera, I can see you in my glasses in the camera.
Is that freaky deaky to you?
It's out of focus, so
it's not too bad.
That's probably how you see all the time.
Yeah, I'm glad you wear your glasses now because that's what our logo has of you on it. But
I was thinking about it when you took the picture. You were like, glasses on, glasses on. We took the picture, and then that first episode, I was like, am I supposed to wear glasses? Do I have to wear my glasses? I really did.
Do you remember how nervous it was the first episode that we recorded?
The whole time I was thinking about my glasses. No, I was. Right now I'm thinking about this under boob sweat.
No, dude, that's real. That just shows that it's authentic and real. All right, man.
So sit up straight.
Today's topic, we're talking about resistance training, and I was thinking we would talk about kind of resistance training as a whole, like what is it, how does it work, and then we would talk about why people should be doing it. We talk about the benefits just in general, and then how the benefits change as you age, as you get older. You get to enjoy different benefits later on. So what is it? What is resistance training?
Real quick, sorry. We went on a bike ride this morning.
Yeah.
Accountability check-in. No. We went on a bike ride this morning. The whole time, both of us were just like, oh, like she even said it feels like I'm going.
You and Bianca went.
Yeah, Bianca was like, I feel like I'm going through sand, and I was like, my legs are definitely heavy. I realized, so I didn't rest. I rested from the gym and stuff, but we moved it stuff yesterday. We moved it stuff yesterday, and I was dragging trees and didn't really take it. So she went and met up with Vanessa.
Oh yeah.
And Clarissa, and they worked out. And
how did that go?
She said it was awesome. She had a great time.
What's up, Vanessa, Clarissa? What's up, guys?
But yeah, they did a strength train. Like they just lifted weights and stuff. Just nothing too heavy or too crazy. But that's why an immediate effect. She's been riding her bike every day.
Yes.
45 minutes, 2 hours sometimes
She's been doing a shit ton of cardio.
Yeah, dude. And her legs have gotten so much stronger. And then they did legit. She said it wasn't nothing heavy or crazy, but they did a good workout. Did a bunch of stuff, squats and whatever with the rack and assault bike.
And she immediately felt the difference.
Yeah, like today she was. I felt I was so tired too, but I was thinking about our conversation today, as we had talking about resistance training.
Yeah.
And I was like, there it is, like an immediate change in the whole. You can ride 40 miles and be in pain, and then another 30 miles the next day, and then another 20 miles that next day, and kind of fight through it. And then one day of squats, and she was like, I was like, let's turn around then. What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, the stressor on the body is so much different. Like when you do cardio, even if you're doing like really, really heavy cardio, what you're stressing out there are your lungs, your cardiovascular system, how well your body can pump blood, and how well your body uses oxygen. When you do resistance training, you're talking about raw mechanical ripping of your fibers.
Yeah.
And it's a type of injury. It needs to heal. So yeah, if you work out cardio all the time and then suddenly jump into resistance training, your body, because it's a different stressor, is going to feel way different the next day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like what we were talking about with cardio, and when you're doing over performance. Depending on who you are, like maybe your mentality, like we talked about, is in that that hardcore,
like where you're pushing too hard every single day.
No. Well, yeah. I mean that there's too much of anything is a bad thing, but I think there's so much information. We were talking about it with cardio, that's why. But I think there's so much information especially attainable and available for you today.
I don't know if y'all could hear that big ass fire truck that just went by. It's not for us.
They, but like I feel like there's. You just
check the walls just to make sure we're still recording. I will die on camera.
What if the handle's warm? But it's isn't a ridiculous amount of information available to you. All you have to do is research what is resistance training, or like should I lift weights or whatever. And I feel like it's probably there's a lot of people, trainers included, I'm sure, that are lost at like the basics of it, not just the science of it, but like of how to explain to somebody why it's important.
Yeah. Well, so when you're talking about like resistance training, all we're talking about in general is when you're moving some sort of load, some sort of weight with your muscles. That's resistance training. And the weight could be anything. You could do good old-fashioned iron or bumper plates, barbells, dumbbells, that type of thing. You can also use like resistance bands, which we use them as a substitute for mechanical weight, but they have their own little nuances, which make them interesting, and they have their own uses because of that. And sometimes you can just use you can also, not sometimes, but you can also just use your body weight. You put your body in these really specific positions, and then you can use your own body weight as resistance. All of that counts. All of that does the same thing, albeit in slightly different ways. Which you actually wanted to talk about, like the different ways that resistance training can impact your body using the CPT.
So it's interesting because like working at the ranch before, working with friends on the side here and there as well. When I was working at the ranch, learning to become a trainer.
You had side hustles when you were working at the ranch?
Yeah, dude. Which made it so easy when I worked at other places.
Yeah, what are they going to do?
But so but I mean, like trying to learn, having, and I love him, but like having somebody help me who was like, here, through a cert, do this cert, knock this cert out. And I was like, all right, cool. So I did the cert, but it wasn't, until I got my own legitimate cert, and I was in the library studying, and I was like, I got to pass this test. But for no other reason but because I was worried about killing somebody on accident at the ranch. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
You're like, I need to actually know this.
But you can base it off. I mean, if you go through that CPT in whatever school you like the best, it's all perspective.
Certified personal trainer. is CPT.
We should have said that.
Yeah. Well, said
but
it now.
But no. So like continued education's helped, and getting the cert helped. But I think knowing about the basics of how you can start explaining it to somebody, and if you're a trainer who's never really like they know, I know a lot of trainers who like they know a crap ton about how to get somebody swole or how to get somebody leaned out or whatever, but they don't actually know the science of it.
Right.
And I'm not saying that that's wrong. To each their own, do whatever you need to do. But if you can research it and learn a little bit or teach the people that you're working with a little bit, it starts to make more sense just as far as what we understand from the human body, right?
Right.
So going through the phases, you take somebody from doing nothing into, and it's not so much that they need to go through these phases specifically, and like everybody's body is different. But when you start somebody out from doing nothing to doing these resistance trainings, it's so easy to have somebody, you break them off in the first workout.
Happens all the damn time.
So as a trainer, knowing some of the phases and what you need to focus in on after you like assess somebody is super important. Even if you're just like winging it, maybe you don't follow to the T.
Right.
But you can get people better results, right? So we were just talking before we started doing the podcast just now about basics, right? About the basics. And how even now, we have some members, are like amazing athletes, they're working through their things. But if they can focus in and tweak on some of those smaller things, in our minds, we think it's like, you're like, oh, I'm done with that part.
Yeah. Lean is real linear.
But if you never did it,
yeah,
you might have developed this strength over time, but those little pieces of the phases are important. So like stabilization, in my favorite endomuscular, like muscular endurance phase is probably the best.
Yeah.
Hypertrophy, max strength, and power, and there's different variations for different modalities and different training protocols.
Right.
But those are the ones I follow because like I can remember in karate, didn't know what it was when I was doing it because I was just a karate teacher.
You were I was a younger Michael. Ignorant Michael.
Didn't know nothing. But like teaching those kids and learning from my teachers, the stuff that they had developed had,
Had those progressions in it.
had kinesiology and
Yeah.
physical exercise science based. It was based in that and traditions, and even some of those like old Japanese stuff, the old Japanese translations of what our modern day karate was.
Yeah.
You could tell was maybe inadvertently science based in the human body, and what
That's super interesting that you mentioned that.
What was-
There's I saw a video the other day of
you
this.
had to start somewhere with stabilization.
Yeah, there was a video of this kid who he was a. Oh God, I'm sorry, I don't know what country he was from, but he was training as a monk, and he was very, very young. Had to be about 6 years old, maybe younger, and in the first stage of the CPT model, as you said, is stability, and stability is the foundation of everything, because if you have really, really strong and reliable stabilizers, then when you get up into things like maximal load, your risk of injury is going to be way, way lower, which is why they start with stabilization. You need it first. So this kid, they had him on these pillars, and he was in a horse stance, and he had these two sticks out on his arms are out like this, and he had these two sticks, and the kid was like crying. He was like, he was gonna, but the kid was a badass. They like took him through like the journey. He was hopping upstairs and shit. But at the very beginning, yeah, he was just there and he was just stabilizing. And they had uneven load on his arms, and he was just trying to hold himself up. And you could tell that the stumps were not like rock solid secure. Yeah. So we had to constantly adjust, which is exhausting. If you've never stood on a Bosu ball or on one of those foam pads, the instability is really difficult to deal with over a long period of time, especially if you've never done any kind of stability training. But yeah, so even those old school traditional styles of training use that basic model.
Try it right now. If you're listening and you're standing and you're not going to knock over anything. Stand on one leg for the rest of the podcast. Go. Switch halfway. I'll tell you when that is.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you were talking to me. I thought you were like, try right now. And I was like, hey, no, listen, I worked out. I worked out at 8 this morning. I'm already real tired. I was already coming up with excuses.
You're like, oh, see what? Well, I mean, we can do that on another time.
All right, man. So
stabilization though, like,
yeah.
It's cool because it doesn't. I don't know. I guess we always relate everything to the gym, right? Or not to the gym, but to when we're talking about our career choices and health and fitness, and we start talking about food, fitness, and focus, and we start getting these things together and building, even just this podcast, like just another level of something to hold each other accountable and push in the right direction in life and health. I used to brush. I don't do it all the time, but I used to brush my teeth and stand on one leg.
Really?
But it wasn't because I was like. It was genuinely because I was like, I know that is helpful for me.
Yeah. For your balance and stabilization.
My balance, and so I would do that. And then
your proprioception.
Yeah.
Yeah, proprioception is a fancy word for knowing where your body is in time and space. It's when you can reach out and you know where your head is, you know where your nose is, and you can kind of understand where things are around you. Knowing where you are in time and space is proprioception.
So where, not to get, I want to try to stay focused on just the aspects of resistance training and its importance and relevance. But like where would you typically start somebody?
Well, it does depend on the individual. So like not everybody who walks in here is on the very first leg of their journey. So it depends on a couple different factors for me. The first is where are they at fitness-wise right now? If we have somebody who's never worked out before, fresh off the couch, who's coming in and wants to start lifting weights, then the first thing that we would do is start them off on, working on their stability, working on their balance, making sure that they have the mobility that they need in order to do the move safely, and build them up from there. So start off on that stability, mobility type thing. We also have to take into account that we do group classes. So this person who's never worked out before is going to be rubbing shoulders with people who've been working out with us for 6 years now.
Not right now though. We're all social distancing.
Right. They're not rubbing, figuratively speaking, rubbing 6 feet.
So stupid. First thing in my brain, I just saw like.
So for them, like we'll use stuff like PVC pipes or extremely light weights where they can get a feel for it. If we on the flip side of that, if if Chris Wood came in here, who's been working out since I'm pretty sure before he was born, I don't know how he did it, but he's been working out forever. If he came in here and needed to train, we're just like, yeah, the weights are over there. You go have fun, and we'll give him cues and corrections. But he doesn't. We're not really here for people. And as far as coaching goes, we're not really here for those. For those more experienced athletes, we'll give them the finer cues, tell them how to get to the next level or off their current plateau. But the basics they got down, and so and everyone in between. Yeah. So where I would start somebody depends on their current level. If they're fresh off the couch, the very first thing we would do is establish: can they do the move safely? Yeah. Do they have the mobility for it? And are they stabilized or strong enough to handle it? Otherwise, they're just going to break their stuff.
Chris was always one of those people that like he would come to class or whatever, and he'd be like super out of shape from not working out for however long, but he would like look fantastic.
Yeah, he just looks good year round.
That would be my equivalent of like yeah, not just girls, not just women, but like people are always shitting on each other for whatever reason, right? I would always be like, man, screw that guy.
Yeah.
All like just ripped up. He's
just
like,
a 6-pack year round.
He's like, I'm so out of shape. I'm like, don't talk to me right now with your abs.
Hey, Chris, what's going on, baby? How are you? Hopefully you're doing well.
We saw your
Yeah. Nico stopped by the gym the other day, man. Also, screw you for having abs all year round.
If you don't have them right now, prove it. I think, as far as like not just obviously we want to talk about our gym and the community that we serve and like the people that we have the opportunity to be in front of and work with and grow, and they can help us grow as well. But on the broader spectrum, like there's the goal-oriented aspect of our health and fitness. There's that determination. We even have like some pillars, that we follow, and then we have some principles that we kind of instill.
Yeah.
And as you work on those things, overall, the one part of it is that education, right? Not diving in. You don't need to become a bodybuilder. You don't need to become a CrossFitter or whatever the heck you want in the respect to health and fitness. Right. It can just be because you're like, man, I do not like the way I feel walking up and down these steps.
Right.
Like if you're walking up and down your steps at the house and you're like, I should have got a damn 1-story. Like, nah, man, screw those stairs. Yeah. Like it's got to be with you and desirable, and you can hit those phases of the training. And whenever it comes up, that resistance training, I think a lot of people are adverse to it. Like I know people in my family that were like, I don't do that.
Yeah,
because it's dangerous, or because I'll hurt myself. Yeah.
Well, you know what, man? That's a good segue. Let's jump into some of the specifics that all you beautiful people out there can use, because there's, like we said at the very beginning, there's different benefits of resistance training depending on who you are and where you are in your life. Now, the general benefits of resistance training, no matter what age you are, male, female, doesn't matter. One of the main benefits is that your muscles are going to get stronger. If you do resistance training and you do it correctly, you will see an increase in muscle mass and you will be stronger because of it. When you get stronger, when your fibers become thicker and denser, everything gets easier. You're able to do things easier. If you don't do any cardio with it, you're gonna, man, I don't care how buff you are. I had a really, really good friend of mine who was a big old bodybuilder. He sprinted halfway across the parking lot because he forgot his shaker bottle, and by the time he got halfway back, he was like checking his pulse and shit. So you still gotta have a well balanced routine, but it does become easier to do things like pick up a box, and you don't have to worry as much. The second thing that it does is it can reduce your risk for injury. If you have a stronger, more densely packed body, then stuff like, I don't know, like falling down at any age is just it's not as bad, or you can catch yourself easier. You just have a better control over your body, that type of thing. Yeah. You say one.
I think that's I was thinking about on the your bike ride with us.
Oh yeah, you talking about when I just destroyed that tree? Yeah. When I just smacked into it.
Tree didn't stand a chance. That bike was like, get the heck off of me.
We were going down the trail, and it was on the first trail that we dipped into off of the pavement. And there was a tree, and I have a problem. Ever since me and my dad went out when I was younger, I've always had a problem with those really tight turns and those really narrow passageways where there's just a tree on one side and a tree on the other side, and they're real close together. I always end up looking at one of the trees, and I did again, and I smashed into it so damn hard.
I watched a YouTube video. It was like you got to dance through the trees. So the last time, like one of the last times we were going out with and I was hitting the trails, I was like dancing. Like, I just gotta relax. I hit like 5 trees that day. My handlebars are all like peeling off now on the sides. I was like, that guy's a liar.
Oh man,
that was my straight. I went into dance mode and I hit the tree.
Dude, you broke dance through those trees.
But like even yours, You and I are similar. Like we definitely need to stretch more.
Yeah, mobility.
That's one of those things that I've been working on through our challenge, through Bianca and I's challenge, our 75-day challenge. It's coming up towards an end in August. But one of the ones that I started out with didn't really fall back on. I just wasn't doing as consistently, and now I'm like kind of trying to do it every day, even if it's for a small amount of time. I like actually set a timer and I stretch. And I go about
That's
it.
fantastic.
I go about it without any direct. Like I could probably look at a workout online or a YouTube video of like a 30-minute stretch, but I go through the ones that I know I need, which are my hips, my hamstrings, and my like Achilles and all my posterior, my lats, my neck, my heels, all that stuff. So like, but I'll go through all of that.
My neck, my back. No, we're gonna get copyright strike because it's too perfect.
Pay me money. But like you have to, so like I'll do those now, right?
Right.
The focus on that has helped, but I mean you don't stretch that much either. You do a bunch of resistance training.
Yes.
You're getting better at cardio, and you fail so gracefully.
Thank you, man.
I think I didn't have the GoPro on.
I wish
I did too. I was so mad that it was dead, but like, and it was. I'm not trying to make you feel good. You rolled. Your body flipped and you stood up. Like it probably hurt. I mean, I know it hurt.
That comes from also the type of training that we do, because we don't just do resistance training. We do things like powerlifting, Olympic lifting, where you have to have good coordination.
We have literally done ninja rolls.
Yeah, we work on ninja rolls and bear crawls and crap like that. So that always helps.
Yeah.
We should get into the different stages of life and how like resistance training works with the different stages.
I'm a huge fan of, and I think about it now. Now they're smart. Back then, I was like, these guys are so dumb. It was like probably guys our age, maybe younger, collegiate athletes running a program for high school athletes.
Yes.
During the summer, there was X Factor. There was another one that was like a 2-a-day type thing.
Do you think that's good? Do you think it's good for kids to train?
When I think about it now, and I'm relating it to karate, before I knew anything about training, the kids would be doing something. These older kids did something, but a little different. These older kids did something, but a little bit different than the adult classes did. We never did weight training, but they did a lot more in terms of the different resistance stuff. But like at the younger levels, like they were standing on one leg. They were doing planks, push-ups, sit-ups, jump rope, handstands, cartwheels, kicking, holding your leg out. There was just a lot of functional stabilization things that we were doing to 5, 6, 7-year-olds, right? And it was a game. It was fun. X Factor and those 2-a-day programs, I remember, like, it was all body weight. We did some weight training. There was like, all right, weight session. It was very basic, very basic for middle school kids, right? Like little bench presses, little dumbbell curls. But it was all just agility, speed, box jumps, burpees, mountain climbers,
explosive
holding
power,
squats and jumping, like resistance training in its own respects to what we needed. Nowadays, I feel like I see a lot of kids, younger kids pumping iron like super early.
Oh yeah. Well, there used to be such a big stigma around that, where when you're a younger kid around 9, 10 years old, they're like, oh no, you shouldn't be lifting weights because you're going to stunt your growth. And the thinking behind that was that you would damage your growth plates. And so here's the truth.
That's what happened to me. Exactly.
There is some truth behind the myth, right? So when your body's developing as a child, you have these growth plates that allow you for your body to mature. And if those growth plates get damaged, then it can stunt the growth. It can stop the different bones from growing. So much so that if you break a growth plate in your right arm, sorry, this is your right arm. I'm a fitness professional. If you break a growth plate in your right arm, this one will stop growing and this one will keep growing. You can have different size limbs.
You have to do that when you're teaching class.
Oh yeah, when you do the mirror.
This is your right arm.
Yeah. So that's and that is true. And the thinking was that, well, if you lift weights, you're going to damage those growth plates, and that's just not true. Yeah. If you are safe and you have a good resistance training program for these kids, and they're not doing a ton of weight, because kids don't need to do a ton of weight. Yeah. They need to do very, very light weight and learn the technique, learn the form, learn how to do it safely. And you can start them as early as you'd like if you come at it from that mindset. And that is weightlifting. It's just really, really light, really, really safe, controlled. And that'll keep them safe and keep them from hurting those plates, and they'll be fine. They'll be just fine.
I think it all depends too on the comfortability of the parent, the trainer, the coach, or whoever's dealing with that younger population.
Find a professional.
You have to know, and you have to know what it is that you're looking for. So when you see that professional go to work, you feel comfortable being like, hey, I want my child or whatever to do this because I know that this is best for them based on this research that I've done or whatever. You can, I don't know. There's a lot of approaches for it, but I think the younger population, it has a bad stigma against like exercise and like versus play and like.
Did I tell you where that came from?
What?
Where that stigma, a lot of that stigma arises from. Mm. So it comes from a couple different sources, but there was one study back in the 1970s. Mm. It was a study of in Japan of these kids who had different growth rates, right? So there was a group of kids that were stunted in their growth, and there was a group of kids that were not. And the group of kids that were stunted were all laborers. They would work in the fields with their families, and they were all really, really poor. And so the idea or the conclusion that they came to was because these kids were working so hard and throwing these bells and doing resistance training when they were lifting weights essentially. Because of that, it stunted their growth. Well, that's since been looked at and peer reviewed and debunked. And what actually happened was that these kids were malnourished.
Yeah.
So they came up in a poor area, and they couldn't feed. They didn't have a whole lot of access to protein, whereas these other kids were really well fed. So these other kids grew like crazy, and these other little kids who didn't have the proper nourishment didn't, and that's where the discrepancy came from. Yeah. Your kids can resistance train and do all the, as long as it's safe and you feed them well, then their growth will be just fine.
That's what I was saying. But you got to know when I was saying you got to know what you're looking for. Before teaching class, before doing squats, I'm like, and most of them have heard it already 100 million times. I'm like, all right, everybody's body's different, so everybody's squat's going to be a little different. Mm-hmm. So let me show you how to squat, and this is the only way. So like I'll say stupid stuff like that. So you got to know what you're looking for when if I have friends whose parents were like, they're going to be a professional, like they're going to go and do this.
Right.
Whether it's because they were professional or not, or that was their desire, or the kid wanted to, whatever the case may be.
Right.
It's a whole nother story. But like, some of them, they were in the game so young.
Yeah.
Like I didn't play Pee Wee football, but a lot of the friends I played with who did play Pee Wee football had been lifting weights since they were little kids, like 8, 9, 10. I started when I was like 13, 14.
Oh God, dude!
Still really young.
I didn't start like seriously weightlifting until I was already out of college. I must have been like,
really?
Yeah, I was already in my 20s.
It's so weak, bro.
Yep, I lost a lot of time. I was doing other stuff.
I was the laborer. I was malnourished, just killing it, and I ended up shorter, I think, is what happened. That's a big one too. I know we're not talking nutrition, per se today, but like, man.
Well, you know what?
Last time we were talking about, like you've got to, whatever it is. Well, you and I were talking about it. I think not on the last one that we posted, but the last one that we did was about like you've got to stop, figure out what it is. Talking about goal orientation,
yes.
And like you got to go for that mission. So like knowing what you're looking for when it comes to whether you want your kid to do that or whether your child is interested in that, or your teenage or whatever. Now they're on their own. Then you're in college and you're like, you know what? I want to lift some weights. Like. Some aspects of the proper guidance in the resistance training modules or phases will help tremendously.
Absolutely.
And then if you don't, if that's not your ish, but you're still trying to lead a healthy lifestyle, that's okay. But the nutrition has to change to fit. You know what I mean? You can't be stacking. You can't be stacking on protein calories and not eating any vegetables. or carbs, and then you're like, you're not doing anything all day long.
Your body's a wreck on the inside.
You can do it opposite as well, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
so we talked about stabilization, endurance. We're talking about youth, moving into like what?
Yeah.
Would you say like high school, college, kind of merged?
Yeah, high school, college kind of merged. The biggest thing with high school, college is that you get all the same benefits. When you get into that high school age range, specifically in males, the testosterone that they start pumping through their veins is insane, and they can really, really benefit from a really, really solid resistance training program because they're never going to enjoy hormones like that again. They have guys. You have a window. If you're young, if you're 15 to what do they peak at? 25.
25.
Something like that. Well, if you're in that age range, you have hormones pumping through your veins that you will never get to enjoy
Cool.
again without some help.
It's cool because
take advantage of it.
Like like we used to have some of the more like not motivational, but like the people that I looked to when I was powerlifting. They were. I mean, there was a couple of guys that were lifting that were obviously really strong, right? But there was some girls on the team.
Yeah.
That I was just like, oh, they're so strong.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was awesome too. But like, I think when you're talking about age range, boys, girls, it's interesting. But you have to again be comfortable with the approach. It might be real slow, seemingly, especially if you're a parent athlete and you're like, I want my kid to do this.
Right.
They enjoy doing this with me. You still have to educate yourself to know how to get he or she in the safe place to do these things with you.
Right. Because
if that's what you're doing, it's a family thing, but maybe they're not trying to go pro, right? Maybe it's just a family thing. You guys like to work out together. You can still jack up the process with your child if you don't educate yourself on that resistance training and just jump straight into like, I'm gonna stack some muscle on this little girl, on this little boy.
Yeah, and you can really put them at serious risk of
injury.
I see a
lot of parents, and it's not coaches, trainers too. It's not because they don't want what's best for them. It's just because they don't continue that education. They don't know enough. And I had to slow down a lot, like while I was training. You know what I mean? You start throwing all these things out, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Hold on, let's go back to the basics.
Yeah, and that's never a bad thing to do. Going back to the basics and working on your stability. If you have an injury that you're coming back from, working on your mobility again you have to do it. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up for another fall.
A majority of my one-on-one clients, most of them were late 20s, mid 50s. And then it would like skip a generation, skip to like 70, 80, 80-year-olds women.
Yeah.
And then most of the older population that I have trained is older men, trying to get their balance back and be able to stand up straight and work on posture and just reset things.
Yeah.
But a lot of those badass ladies that I like worked with and trained and got the opportunity to train with, like the resistance training was so key, and we did it in a way where it wasn't like. There was never a fear. Maybe they had a couple of conversations about it, but there was never a fear of like, well, I don't want to get buff.
Right.
I don't want to, and that seems to be
very, very common.
I think that seems to be a big thing when it comes to like the gym or exercise as far as resistance training goes.
I don't want to get all swole and huge and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger walking around.
What we talked about before, like it is nutrition based. Majority of that. Now, how you train is important when it comes to what kind of body you're trying to build or what performance you're trying to peak out at or what phase of the endurance, what phase of resistance that you're in too.
Yeah. You know what sold me? Where before I was like, resistance training is good. It makes you all strong, gives you sexy muscle and all that stuff. And that's very true, and it's very, very important for a lot of people. It's important to me. But what sold me on resistance training, where I was like, everybody needs to be doing it, is when I started looking into the lesser known benefits. So like when you get older, when you become an adult, like 25 and older, you start enjoying different benefits at different times, like depending on what kind of person you are. Not like are you a Virgo or a Libra? I mean, like, are you a postmenopausal woman?
Oh, got you.
Versus a 25-year-old male.
You brought it back. Thank you. I was over here.
So like so for example, there's a psychological benefit, there's a cognition benefit to doing resistance training. For those of you who don't know, when you get to the age of 25, usually most of our brains peak at around 25. After 25, it is a pretty solid decline in your IQ and in your cognitive abilities all the way down to the point where once you get to like 35 and 40 years old, there is a significant loss in IQ. And your IQ is it's like your genetic potential. A lot of it has to do with the amount of trauma you didn't go through during your formative years, but a lot of it has to do with memory as well. And resistance training coupled with cardio, right? A good well-balanced program, but resistance training has proven to be one of the only things that a person can do to regain and sustain their cognitive abilities once that decline begins. It's one of the only things that works. So, oh God, I'm blanking on his name. Jordan Peterson has an example where a 50-year-old person can begin doing resistance training and regain the cognitive abilities they had when they were 30 years old. When they were 30 years old. That's crazy to me. Like, it's because the brain is a really physiologically demanding organ. And if you have a strong, well-maintained body that can better support that brain, the brain functions way, way better. There's a lot of biochemistry that goes into it. I forget the exact chemistry of it, but it has to do with the hippocampus, which is this little seahorse-looking thing that exists in your temporal lobe. Now I know, God dang, I knew we said we weren't going to get too sciencey on it, but this is super interesting to me. But you have this little thing called the hippocampus, and that little bugger is responsible for a lot of the learning and memory that takes place in your brain. And that guy loves these little hormones called growth factors. And growth factors are produced when you weight train. So you weight train, the hippocampus just sucks it all up, eats it alive, and then you can take a brain that's 50 years old and transform it back and maintain it to that same brain when it was 30 years old. Like, that's incredible. How are you not doing resistance training right now if you're going to enjoy that type of benefit?
They're gonna be like, hold on a second, pause. Hey Siri. Hey Google. Let me ask you something.
It's so interesting. Like, if you are not to get on a soapbox with it, but just that by itself, let alone all the other benefits that you get from living a healthy lifestyle and making better, healthier choices, eating better, resistance training, doing your cardio. Forget all the other benefits like staving off diabetes, which leads to things like heart problems, type 2 diabetes. Take all that away and just have the cognition. If you're not doing this, if you're not doing some form of resistance training, you're not doing your cardio, then you are by definition not living your best life. You are by definition not being your best self. And how dare you deprive your body of that? Go freaking do it. I'm worried about getting big. Go freaking lift some weights. Sorry.
You got so passionate, man.
It's super, super important. The body is incredible, and it'll do amazing things for you if you treat it the right way. And
it was cool. You said something. We're talking about resistance training, and you're talking about living your best life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, when they're going through life or they're going through a specific situation in life, they start going to what they know, your experiences, and that's what you know, based on just the different things that you've been through or what you've read and researched, and in essence, you don't really know. So, I don't want to get all existential for a second. I know.
Hit it. Let's do it.
Why not? Right? Why not? Like living your best life. Like even whatever. There's a lot of different studies done on all of the different like religions and the different belief systems, right? But if you look at each one of those, in respects to how long they've been in historical record and stuff, almost all of them are coupled with some kind of physical activity protocol, some kind of physical.
Interesting.
Whether it's a martial art or it's a mobility thing or it's a balance and meditate. Like there's almost in every single one.
Holy crap!
There's some physical practice protocol that's like coupled with it.
I've never thought about that. I've never realized that. You're 100% right.
And I'm talking about,
meditation.
I'm talking about anything that breathing, save for a few of some of the modern religions, I guess maybe. But I'm talking about just like some of these ancient historical things that we can study now.
Tibetan monks, that type of thing.
They have some kind of physical activity that's like one of their pillars, one of their things.
Mind, body, spirit.
Yeah, and that was so big. I know I talk about karate a lot, but like what am I gonna talk about except what I know? But my watch said, "Time to get moving." Why don't you mind your own business? It says 5 torso twists with a question mark.
Hey, you want to maybe do some core work right now?
Literally what
Jesus.
it says. Put your hands like this. Is it counting them? Oh, it is. 2, 3.
You big old
4,
cheater.
And 5 torso twists. Look.
Back in my HR days. Back in my HR days, we used to do these fitness challenges because we were in a call center. I ran the HR department.
I was in charge of human resources.
I was a part of a really awesome human resource team. And we were in this call center, and so we would do these fitness challenges. And there were some pedometers, and I would walk through the aisles every once in a while, and I'd see people with their foot. Like tapping at their desk.
Oh, pedometers work
yeah,
like that.
they'd stick it on their shoelaces and be like, pop, 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 pop. Be like, how'd you get 1,000,000 steps?
I'll tell you now, before I go on, if you're listening and you're wearing a tracker that you use to keep track of your steps, but it counts every time you move your wrist.
That's cheating.
That's cheating. I used to have one,
Yeah. You're saying about karate.
So we talked about it before, but when I was in karate, man, like I took those principles so seriously. Yeah. Mind, body, and spirit. Right, and they would talk about the empty hands and like I knew Japanese phrases. I used to do katas in my backyard on my parents' on the basketball court in the middle of the afternoon after school because I had a competition coming up where I had to perform it. A kata is like it's a form, a style, and there's different variations of it. But in our society, it's almost like a simulated fight.
Okay,
a very organized fight.
Okay,
I'm going to attack to the right. And then I'm going to turn around and attack to the left.
And you would execute like the techniques that you learned?
And the turns in the foot and the closing the gap and the breathing and kiyas and all this energy. But I took it to, imagine being like 13 into my teenage years on the like Karate Kid.
Yeah.
But not like, I didn't have a sensei. My dad wasn't out there like focus power. Like it was it was cool to me.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And it gave you something to focus on.
But dude, we used like if I could have taken that piece of education and resistance style training and kept it fueled through high school, like I did it, but it was just something I would get off of football practice at the evening, and me and my buddy Mitchell Fisher from
Oh, yeah. What's up, Mitchell?
From Golds.
He started his own podcast. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, dude. He's a couple episodes in already. He's doing an awesome job. He's got like the gorilla kettlebell on his desk.
Yes.
He's just talking about all kinds of stuff.
Fisher we went through some crap he went through some crap in high school, man. Yeah. We went through it and we trained together and did karate together. But like he knows if I could take that and I think for the most part he did. And I lost it for a while and I'm starting to gain it back now in my later years. Looking back and applying some of these concepts. But like if I could have taken that education around the importance of stabilization and endurance, muscular endurance, we didn't really do, I can't say we didn't do hypertrophy style at workouts because we did push-ups. I can literally remember his dad and mine being like, all right, we're going to do push-ups till our arms fall off. And sometimes that's what it felt like. You were like, my arms are done for the rest of this week.
Yeah.
And him and I did max strength training in high school for powerlifting. And then power and performance and stuff after that, right? But like, so if I could have carried those in, or if I had somebody fueling those or fostering those, even my parents, if I had that into college and then now into my training years, like it wouldn't have been so. I don't think I would have had so many times there where I wasn't really digging into the studying and the understanding of what the heck I was doing.
Sure.
We talked about last time, like stop wishing about it and like really like get up and whatever it is that turns that cog, like get up and do it. And resistance training might be it, just for the reason that if you do it correctly and you come at it with the right mindset, you will get results for whatever your physical health goals are, with the exception of an ailment that prevents you from doing a specific training that you want to do.
Right.
You might have to augment or modify that to fit what your life, has thrown at you. But if you implement it and then you educate yourself on it, or if you don't know and you get help educating yourself on it, you will benefit from it. When you said live your best life, I was like, yeah.
Hell yes.
Because I think like coming into this conversation in itself, and if you're listening to it all the way through, like here it is. I was sitting here like resistance training because I love resistance training.
Yeah.
But when I explain,
it's also fun.
And when I explain it to somebody, I'm like, let's not, like I've rarely had somebody be like, explain it. Tell me what the purpose is.
Right.
And then there's been times where I'm explaining it and I'm looking in the eyes and they're looking back at the wall behind me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not talking. I'm trying to sound real smart, and you're not even listening to me.
I'm putting all this effort.
But like if you can whatever level you need to fit it into your training regimen and your lifestyle, it will benefit from.
Yeah.
You will benefit from taking your walk around the block to one of those hills, taking that left and doing the hill that's in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
That you always are like, one of these days, just go try it.
And you're going to lunge up that hill.
Ooh. And then I want you to walk on your hands up the hill.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter what level you're at. It doesn't matter if you are a 15-year-old dude who is getting ready to explode in strength and size if he does resistance training, or if you're a postmenopausal woman. Postmenopausal women are some of the most have the most to gain from doing resistance training. When you go through menopause and you lose that estrogen, you lose the thing that's preserving your bone density. And doing resistance training preserves that bone density, and it helps stave off things like osteoporosis. Helps if and when you do fall. It helps prevent you from getting such crazy injury like you blow out a hip because your bones are denser because you've been training them. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter the fitness level that you're currently at. Every single person out there can benefit from resistance training. You will look better, you will feel stronger and better, you will think better.
Yeah.
How are you not doing this right now?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go pick up some dumbbells.
I'm gonna do some exercise. It's good. I mean, I think being able to kind of have these conversations together and put them down on record and like
think them through,
be in the moment, and like try that. Like I like thinking about the first episode now and thinking about right now, because there's times in life still where I'm like so organic and so like, dude, sometimes I don't know what the hell's going on. And clients or members or friends or family are like, tell me what to do. I'm like, you tell me what to do. We can help each other out for sure. Yeah. And if you want to sit down and you need to understand it more of why it's important, like you need the proof, we can do that for sure. Yeah. As coaches or, as a friend, or if you want, other people on here, there's also a freaking crap ton of information all over the internet. Don't get lost in it. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Sift it. Ask questions. Read the comments. And when they get out of hand, focus back in. Don't click on that snake bite video, and focus on why resistance training might be relevant in your specific situation. I promise you, type it in there. There's going to be some information on it. And then you have to go with what you like, and sometimes with what you like might not be what you need. So that there's a whole nother thing there. But if you can, like you said, sift it is perfect. If you can sift it and pull out those little nuggets, and just keep them, maybe you find some information that you're like, ooh, and that might be 6 months down the road from where you're at now if you stay consistent, but don't lose it. You know what, man?
And that's a really, really good point. And that I think that's going to be a whole other episode that we do when we talk about like the different types of resistance training. So you can once you get past like stability and you understand the basics of resistance training, then the forks in the road that branch off from there are numerous, and each one does different things. Like you could train for Olympic lifting, you could train for power lifting, you could train for hypertrophy, which is getting real big in bodybuilding size. You could train for explosive, for athleticism, that which is kind of like Olympic lifting, but there's a lot of different ways that you can attack your resistance program. We should definitely do an episode about that.
Yeah,
where we talk about the different types.
Yeah, we
should write that down. I will write it down later.
Hey, write that down.
In like 3 years on episode 500, they're going to be like, we're going to see in the comments, did you guys say on episode 5 that you were going to talk about the different types?
Spaceships flying overhead. Finally, we made it.
Oh, yeah.
The different types of strength training.
I plan on doing this forever.
Oh yeah, forever, forever.
We're gonna be 87 years old in our little rocking chairs and be like, remember? Do you remember the time when
I can squat more than you right now. Let's go.
I remember when I hit that tree and rolled off my bike.
You're like, who said that?
Who are you?
I told Bianca and I joke like about we'll make a little. I mean, somebody might think it's kind of dark because it's sad, but like we joke.
I
about,
enjoy dark humor. Hit me
Yeah,
with it.
we joke about like who's gonna go first.
Oh no!
You said I enjoy dark humor.
Oh no, dude! I didn't know we were gonna go to a black hole. I thought it was gonna be like walking down the street at night. Shit, that's super dark.
I'll just be like, and I already know the answer, but I'm like, do you think you live longer than me? She's like, of course I'm gonna live longer than you. I'm like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, she is way smarter than you.
she's got those big old brain cells.
Yeah, dude,
man.
Elizabeth's gonna outlive me too. I'm freaking all over the damn place, flying off of bikes, down hills.
I told her one day, I was like, when my brain starts to go, you got to take care of me. She's like, nope.
Yeah, our wives are gonna outlast us. We're doing stupid stuff, eating stuff out of the sink. Like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing?
Is that what you?
No, I've never. That was just a random.
Oh, it's just
That was just random.
a real specific random reference.
I've never done that. Which way do you look when you lie? Is it to the right?
I'll never tell. whenever I say something, whether it's truth or not, I look both direct. I look left and I look right, real quick. Always remind myself. That way, people don't know.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, hey, as always, if you have any questions about resistance training or nutrition or really anything in the fitness world at all, and you need some guidance, you can always reach out to Coach Michael or myself. We love to have conversations like this and talk, give advice, and if you need something deeper, we can always go down that rabbit hole.
I was gonna say, I think the last few episodes have been very specific.
Yeah.
And like full transparency, we were supposed to do this last week.
You're giving behind the scenes stuff?
I just want to be honest. But you know what? We had a couple of, and I have friends close and dear to me that would be like, shut up, you big baby. But we were just so tired. Okay?
Yeah,
so tired.
It was right after the 10. We were supposed to record last Friday. It's Monday right now. We're coming out of the weekend, which we should be more refreshed.
Well, you're going real behind the scenes.
Yeah, well,
I wasn't
shit,
going to
man.
say all that.
How specific you want to get? It was on Friday. It was after the 10 o'clock class. We were supposed to record, and Michael showed up. He came in, and we were just like,
"What's up?
I was like, hey, how you
Hey,
doing?
Good morning." You know what?
You ready to
Okay,
talk for
it's
an
like
hour?
today. I woke up pretty tired. We stayed up late watching a show.
Yeah.
And then we got up and rode a bike, and literally once we parked in the garage, she was like, we didn't say anything really to each other the whole time. A little wink here and there, changing the music, and then we got to the garage, and she was like, I was flipping my bike over, and just real quiet, she was like, well, we did it, so well, at least we did it. I was like, that in my brain, I
could hear her saying
I was like,
that.
that's what I was thinking. By the time it made it to my mouth, I was like, yep.
Oh, she was winking at you. Oh, she totes likes you, bro.
I hope so.
All right, man. Well, hey, freaking pleasure as always.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. All right, well, we'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you next time on Two Coaches.
Two Coaches. Classic. That was the one. That was the one I was expecting at the
There
beginning.
you go, Elizabeth. What did you say? The dunk.
Yeah, she says, I really like the badonkadonks. No, she said bounty. Oh,
The bounty
forget it.
wow.
I forget it now.
And cut.